Okay, so tonight's Leil Shishi, Thursday night, and we're learning Masechet Shabbos here in the official. I'll say a hora on the Parshas Kedoshim that ties in a little bit to the Inyan of Melechus Shabbos. You know what the Torah says in this week's Parasha? Ish imay b'aviv tiro ve'shapseisai tishmayu. So the Torah tells us, even though it's a mitzvah to listen to your parents, but if they tell you to be Machal Shabbos, there's no Isser. You're not allowed to do it. So it's a special pasuk in the Torah that tells us if a father or mother tells you to do something, even though there's a mitzvah, there is no aved, there is no reason to listen to that father or mother to go against the Chil Shabbos, to do Chil Shabbos. So the Gemara tells us this in many places in Shas, the beginning was after Cynamon, and in different places that you don't listen. Kibbut Avayim is in the Aseres HaDibros. Kavod of Yichves Yimecha. There's a secondary thing besides Kibbut Avayim, which is Moira of Avayim. Not to honor your father and mother, but to be in awe, or to be scared, intimidated. I don't know how you define the word. And that's called Moira of the Imay. If the Torah is telling us Kibbut Avayim is not doiver, the Torah should have used it Kibbut as Avicha v'esimecha v'shapsoisei tishmoira. Why does the Torah use the lesser of the two? Moira of it is less of a stringent mitzvah than Kibbut Avayim, which is in the Aseres HaDibros. So why does the Torah use the pasuk to tell us about not being Deivei Shabbos and puts it on Kibbut Avayim, on Moira of it, and not Kibbut Avayim? This shayla is really asked in the Gemara, a little bit of the Masechet Kedoshim. There's rumors in the Gemara and the Sefer HaMaknes the Kasha. So I want to answer a little bit B'derech Bilpol why the Torah said on Moira ish imay b'aviv tiro ves shapseisai tishmai. There's also a Gemara in Masechtes Psochim Daf Kuf Yud Zayin Amid Beis. We know every time you make Kiddush, you have to be Masker Yitzias Mitzrayim. You have to remind and mention Yitzias Mitzrayim. Really, Yitzias Mitzrayim shouldn't have to do with Shabbos. Shabbos is Zeichel Ma'aser Bereishis. Why do we mention Zeichel Yitzias Mitzrayim? So the Gemara learns it out in Masechtes Psochim from Psukim. And the Gemara says Psukim one to the other, and we make a Hekish, and therefore we have to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim. Toisvis, the top Toisvis, Masechtes Psochim Daf Kuf Yud Zayin Amid Beis tells us a gewaltige Chiddush. Toisvis says in Mitzrayim, Toisvis says Porech is somehow a gematria of Lamed Tes with Atbash, Hochel. Toisvis says in Mitzrayim they used to work the Mitzrayim in Lomdus. They used to make them work the 39 Melachos of Shabbos. That's what they used to make them do. So Zecher, for the 39 Melachos that they did in the Mishkan later, that Klal Yisrael did in Mitzrayim, so Shabbos, we mention Yitzias Mitzrayim. Frank the Rashash asked. They made them work in Mitzrayim during the week. Maybe Shabbos, I don't even know if they worked. Moshe Rabbeinu made a deal with Parah. Well, what kind of deal? So why does the 39 Melachos that they did in Mitzrayim during the week, that's what Zeichel Yitzias Mitzrayim was saying Kiddush? Sounds like a medrash plea, like something that's phenomenal that we don't understand Pshat. So what's the Pshat? So the first question is why it say Yiras Hashem, Yiras of Avimai, and the second question is what's the Zeichel Yitzias Mitzrayim? I want to tell you something over that. Till now I used to ask, for the last 10, 12 years, I used to ask this kasha myself. And this morning I had a gewaldige schia. I found that Rav Moshe Feinstein Zecher Tzaddik L'Bracha in Igris Moshe Chelik Aleph Eirachayim Siman Kuf Chav Aleph asks the kasha. I'll tell you later why. Maybe it was better I didn't see it, but I'll tell you over the kasha steps. There's a famous Marik in a tshuva. Marik was from Mamish, the first Achrei, almost the Rishonim. The Marik says, if there's a guy in the street who's standing with a baseball bat and is telling you, I'm going to beat you up, but I won't kill you unless you build a table for me, or unless you cook me a pot of food on Shabbos. Are you allowed to be Machal Shabbos if the guy is standing with a bat and is going to beat you up? If he's going to kill you, you're allowed to. Pikuach nefesh is that called. But what happens if he's not going to kill you? He's just going to beat you up to a point that it's going to really be terrible and you're going to get hurt and you're going to need medical treatment. But you won't die. I would say, listen, it's not so easy to be Jewish. So you got to do it. You got to take the hit. No, but over here, let's say you have to give away almost to your whole life. So therefore, the din would be, Zakta Marik, that's true. If he's doing it to eat chazer, you're not allowed to eat chazer. But if he's telling to be Machal Shabbos, Zakta Marik, and I'm not saying this is the Loch L'maiseh, you might be able to be Machal Shabbos. Zakta Marik, you know why? You know why? Zakta Marik, there's a klal in Hilchah Shabbos, Melacha she'eina tzricha legufa, according to one shita, is butter. What's is that thing for Melacha she'eina tzricha legufa? Melacha she'eina tzricha legufa is when I put out a fire, really it's kibbud. But that's not a constructive act. That's just an act to put out the fire. In order to be chayav on Shabbos, you have to do a melacha that needs the production. What's the production? When you put out the fire, and then you need the ashes. When you dig a hole in the ground, and all you need is the earth, that's not boina, because I don't need the hole in the earth. So that means by Shabbos there's a special halacha, who according to Shimon, who's Reb Shimon bar Achrei, that needs melacha she'etzricha legufa. And if not, Dr. Mari, a chiddush gadol, which we can really disagree. When the guy is standing with the bat and says, cook the food. If not, I'm going to beat you up. I need the food. What do I need? I need that the guy shouldn't hit me with the bat. The food is at best a sidebar. I don't need the food. I just need to accomplish what the guy wants. And he shouldn't. What? That's not b'shoigig. It's unnecessary. It's the food. It's ein tzricha leufa. It's ein tzricha leufa. Zok to Marik. Wait, zok to Marik. Therefore, in that case, Shabbos would be an exception. All other averis, you have to give them. But when it comes to Shabbos has a special halacha. Because Shabbos is melacha she'eina tzricha leufa. The Marsha in Masechet Baba Basra seems to second the opinion of the Marik. He predated the Marik. So the Marsha, that's why the Makoshish hates him with a whole cheshbon with the Moshe Tzricha. This is brought in the Eglei Tal of the Avnei Nezer in his Akdoma. He took so important this. He quoted this Marik in his Akdoma. So I asked the Kasha like this. Now you could get angry, you can get agitated, or you could agree, one of the three. So Chazay, the Torah says, your father tells you to do something on Shabbos. Father tells you to do it. So now he tells you, cook a food for me on Shabbos. Why am I cooking the food? Because my father wants me to do it. So my father wants me to do it, my mother wants me to do it, so I'm doing it. I need the soup. I don't need the soup. I need to do what my father and mother want me to do. That should be comparable to who? To the Marik. So if it's comparable to the Marik, so it's not a Chil Shabbos. Oh. If it's not a Chil Shabbos, what does the Torah say if your father or mother tell you to do something on Shabbos? It's a collision between Kibbud Avim and Chil Shabbos. The Katz kommt to Steine mit Wasser. The two things don't meet. Because your father is telling you to do it, that makes it into a Melach Tzricha Legufa. Therefore, it is a non-Chilul Shabbos. If it's a non-Chilul Shabbos, so then what is it? It's no Chilul Shabbos. So what's the Torah saying? Kibbud Avim is the Chilul Shabbos. So I want to say it like this. I want to ask you a question. A father asks his son, make a tea for me. So the son says, I'm a big brisker. I don't really want to make the tea, I have no interest in making the tea. Hareini muchen mezumah l'kayim mitzvahs kibbut aveim. Would that be a good kibbut aveim? Kibbut aveim is not, you need a tea. I'm not holding by making the tea. I'm making the tea because you're telling me and I'm giving you the tea. Kibbut aveim is part and parcel of the essence of kibbut aveim is to be mechaber and taten. And you know you're mechaber him by saying, that's my rotzen. It's a fargenigen. I want to do it. I love to do it. So the Pshat is, asay l'tzoincha kil tzainai. Like for the Eibishter. So when your parent wants you to do it, the covet is that you want to do it. Therefore, it would be a malach shetzricha because I really want it. When there's a goy, it lives a malach. Yes. Even on the etzem cooking.
No,
I want to cook
the mice before.
So this kasha, this kasha is asked by the Moshe Nigras Moshe. I forgot to say he asked this kasha. And he basically says this teretz, and he says, I don't know if he means this, but maybe he means it, and he says, Ve'ein loymar acheres, because it would be divrei kash mehebel. He says, if you don't agree with this, it's like, I'm not sure, you have to look it up exactly what he means. He doesn't want to tolerate this question at all. Someone, Chosh Barov, asked him the question, quoted it from a sefer, and Moshe said not. So come to the place. Really, keep it out of aim in the svar of the Marik would be Malach Shetzricha L'Gufa. Why is it Malach Shetzricha L'Gufa? Because of the Kabet. Yes, the Torah Zok Tazei. There's a minor way of keeping out of aim, which is Moira. Moira is when I'm not up to the Kabet. I can't be doing the Kabet, but I'm doing it Moira. There I would think there's no problem. Why is there no problem? Because Malach Sheina Tzricha L'Gufa. The Torah comes from Chadash. Even if you're not on the Talaga of Kabet, and you're doing it Moira, it's also deep in your heart. It's your Ratzon to do the Ratzon for the Eibishter. Therefore, fakert. The Torah was mechadish that even Moira is nicht there. The Emes will man as Moira there Shabbos. Kommt the Torah and the Torah sagt, ich schau mich, ich imoi ba'aviv tirau. I want to say now like this. In Mitzrayim, when they were standing with bats and whips, making Klal Yisrael do work in Mitzrayim, it happens to have not been Shabbos. But if it would have been Shabbos, what would have been? It would have been Leitzim How would it not be any Malach on Shabbos? What do you have to do on Shabbos? Sheishis Yomim Te'osem Malachet. V'yoyim HaShvi'i Tishbos. Klal Yisrael in Mitzrayim did no Malachet. Even though the Mitzrayim were making them do Malachet. But in Hilchas Shabbos they weren't doing a Te'osem Malachet. Or even on Sunday or Monday. Because everything they did was Malachet Tzricha L'Gufa. Listen to what I'm saying. Every time they were working, it was Malach Tzricha L'Gufa, because they were being forced to do it. So there was no Tishbais on Shabbos, because you have to be Tishbais from a Malacha. They never did a Malacha. Because even during the week, they never did a Malacha. So therefore, it was impossible for them, even on Shabbos, to be Makayim, Uvayoyim HaShvi Tishbais. You know when was the first time they were able to do Yom HaShvi Tishbais? When they left Mitzrayim. Because when they left Mitzrayim, because then they now had their own independent working during the week. So then on the 7th day was Tishbais. That's from Pshat and Taisus. Taisus Daf Kuf Yitzayim on the base says, Seichel is Mitzrayim because they did Lamates Malachas. The Lamates was, but they didn't have Shabbos. The first time they were able to have Shabbos was by Yitzias Mitzrayim. That's why we have a Yitzias Mitzrayim. So I said this over in Yeshiva. And Abacha said to me, I don't understand. The Ferish Psukim and Evet Knani, who works for a Yid, is not allowed to work on Shabbos. Why is he not allowed to work on Shabbos? His Shabbos should be Malach Shetzricha L'Gufa. So it should be Moshe and Tzricha L'Gufa. It should be Motem. Oh, so there is Yeshon this one, but there's an Isser on him too. You could look in the Shal's Chuvas Havni Melu and Simon Yitzayim, the end of the Chuva. It seems clearly, it's a whole Cheshbon of Gemara and Yevomes, that he holds it would be an Isser, even on the Eved himself, an Eved Knan. The teretz is like this. Is it? That's right. An Eved Knani has a Kinyan Isser. Kinyan Isser is, he's one with his other. That's a Chiddush HaTeirah. And since it's a Chiddush HaTeirah, so the Eved Knani has a relationship al pi Torah with his Adon. Whatever he does, it's like his Adon doing it. So therefore there would be a halacha that would be Mloch Tzricha L'Gufa comparable to who? To Kibbut Avein. Therefore only Eved Knani. In Mitzrayim it was not like that. Because in Mitzrayim there was no official din, it was a completely Mitzrayim hitting them. Therefore there wouldn't be Mloch Tzricha L'Gufa, and therefore you wouldn't be.
How does the Hana for the Kibbut Avein, how does the Hana a Kiyam? Because
it's not, it's more than a Hana, it's the Ratzin, the inner Nefesh wants to do the Ratzin of the Aviv. It's more, it's like the inner Ratzin.
Gemara says, Yesh machal of Pesyuni Mavida B'Olam. Give your father duck, but you come
right, you come right south face. That part of it is the right. Very good. That's a good shtel to the giving and the ambiance of the giving is all part of the mitzvah itself. And I made a little bit. I just want to add one thing. Years ago, they say a story. I don't know how true it is, but it's a good story for a case point. We know that the halacha is, in camp. You go to camp. It's Friday night. Some guys get fashmuzed until late at night, and who knows what you shmooze. So they once in camp, and there were guys schmoozing, and it came out that they figured out that one person is a question if he's Jewish. I'm not sure if he's Jewish, they're not sure. So it's a suffix, is he Jewish or is he not? So suddenly the guys came up with it, and they said that, there's a big shayla, Lomdus guys. If you're not Jewish, goyish shavas, chayz nis. But if I'm Jewish, I'm not allowed to do malacha. So I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. If I don't do malacha, I might be goyish shavas. If I do malacha, not. So they said he went over. So there's a big lot of different things. So they say he went over to one of the daily Yisrael. Someone told him it was Rabbi Kamenetsky. I'm not sure it was. And they asked Rabbi Kamenetsky, what should he do? So he said, I think you should, I'm not saying this is the halacha l'maisa either, because I only heard it. And he said, just go and light a match, and then hold the match till it goes out. I said, why? He said, you don't really need the fire. You only need the fire to be not a goyish shavas shechayv misa. So therefore, that's a malacha she'ena tzricha l'gufa. So since the malacha she'ena tzricha l'gufa, I had Valak Akash when I heard that story. So if it's a malacha she'ena tzricha l'gufa, I'm still a goyish shavas. If I'm a malacha she'ena tzricha l'gufa, so then I'm right not doing a malacha, monashach. If I have to do a malacha, it has to be a malacha. If it's not a malacha, I'm not doing the malacha. The teretz is right. I thought that maybe for a non-Jew, because malacha she'ena tzricha l'gufa started in the Mishkan. Before the Mishkan and Mara, malacha she'ena tzricha l'gufa was chayiv. So it could be goyim shishavas chayiv misa started already from Noach after the Teva. So that's why it would be enough. I was a chisi years later. I was inside by Reb Chaim Kanievsky Shlita Maran, Reb Chaim Kanievsky Shlita. And someone pushed me to ask a question, and I asked him, if a goy does a malacha she'ena tzricha l'gufa, does he get away with goy shishavas chayiv misa? So he answered me, no. He's still a shavas chayiv misa. So I asked him, but goy shishavas chayiv misa started from Noach. So he said, and goy malacha she'ena tzricha l'gufa started in the Mishkan. He said, in Yiddish, he answered me, Als was a Yid megnish ton, daf a goy ton. Whatever a Jew is not allowed to do, that's what he has to do. So it's fluid. Whatever is at that time for a Yid. I didn't understand. He said that to me, and I went out. I went downstairs to the Lebanon Shul. I opened up the Rambam in Hilchos Malachim. The Rambam says on Goy Shishavas, Shenischadish olav kidas ha-Yehudis. It's not in Shabbos, it's in the contemporary Shabbos. Whatever's in the Shabbos. I just want to take 2 minutes and I want to speak on one other Indian which comes in slightly into this week's parsha and comes in the Perek, and then we'll finish with that. I just want to say like this. The Gemara Masechta, I saw this in a Sefer. I was Mesoira from a Sefer, the Kitzur in Ghana del Papula, and I just added a little bit to it. The Gemara says Reb Zera, this is Le Papula Ba'alma, but it's still good to think of it. The Gemara says in Masechta Sanhedrin of Lamed Zayin and Aleph, Reb Zera seems like was a big pro in Kiruv V'Chaykim. And Reb Zera used to hang out with Bar Yoinim. He used to have Bar Yoinim around him. And it looks like he wasn't being that, he was staying Bar Yoinim. V'ginoi bei Chachomim. The Chachomim were against him. They weren't against all Kiruv V'Chaykim organizations. But somehow they were against Reb Zera. Then Reb Zera passed away. Those Bar Yoinim said, we have no one to talk to anymore. So they were Chayzer B'Tshuva. So they said, anymore. And the Chachomim then saw they shouldn't have been against Reb Zera. So everyone asked him, what's something happened with Reb Zera? What was bothering them about Reb Zera? So I saw in the Sefer, he says like this. In the Sefer, Ghana Little Poor. And I'll add you just to the trout. He says, there's a medrash that says, Adam hoya loy shtayim v'loy shalosh, and therefore he was chota. He only had 2 and not 3. And therefore he fell lidei avera. He fell into avera. So the Plinim Mishulchan Hagra from the Goyim, it says that the Goyim said, Histakel Odom b'shloisha dvorim, this week's Perek, ve'inat hobo lidei avera. Da me'ayin bosa, me'ti pasuch. U'lo'on ato helech. U'lefnei mi ato os litim. So the Goyim, Odom had 2. Lefnei, lo'on ato helech he had. That's the way he would look. But he didn't have the Damei Bosa, Meiti Pesrucha. Why did he come Meiti Pesrucha? Because he was made Yitzir Kap of Shalach Kodesh Baruch. So since Odom didn't have the triple crown, so therefore he fell into Lidei Aveda. Because he didn't have what? He didn't have the Pesrucha. The halacha is Haycheyach Teichiach Zamisecha. This week's parsha, the way to give moichiach and to work with people who are lower than you is if it's leisisa lov chet. It's one of the Pelton. You don't let the chet have an impression on you. You can't sacrifice your own darga, your own level, in order to be makarev and help somebody else. So therefore, you can't come lidei avera. So what do you need? You need the istakolov and shleishim bro. Then you could do Achrei Techiach. Also steht man under the Svara. In order to do Achrei Techiach, in order to do Kiruv V'Chaykim, you have to be very strong by yourself, and you have to have that Kavya B'Mahalos, the Stakal B'Shleishim. Does anybody here know anything, one thing in your mind about Reb Zera? Good. Come Rabba. Rabba came and he shechted Reb Zera. What happened? Rabba came back the next morning.
Oh, he also had 2.
No, he had Tchias HaMesim. So what happened? Reb Zera was walking up at Tchias HaMesim.
I didn't know it was after.
Ja, the shot can buy in Bosa. How was it that the shot can buy in Bosa? Because now he's a new creation. And he's a new creation. So he didn't have a right to do Achrei Techiach. Why wouldn't he have a right to do Achrei Techiach? Because doing Achrei Techiach, he would be missing in the Shloisha. He would be like Hodem Arishin. That was missing the Shloisha. We're making a whole big thing about Tchias HaMesim. With Chaya HaMesim. She's going to wake everybody up at Tchias HaMesim. If it's going to be a new person, what's the Kreisig Geschäft? People are born, so the Hebrews are going to make Tchias HaMesim. I'll call it when this Tchias HaMesim is the old person comes back. Suppose the Pshat with Reb Zera. Because the Pshat is by Reb Zera was a Yuchidik at Tchias HaMesim. The Tchias HaMesim that's going to come lost of Lavai, that's the Hebrews, that's part of the cycle of life. A person's born, he lives, passes away, then he gets up at Tchias HaMesim. That's part of the Bris Halo. This thing of Reb Zera with Rabbe, come Rabbe, Shogel Reb Zera, you give an Alts Anaya Zach. Anaya Zach, that's a new Bria. Happens to be that I saw brought down from Reb Chaim Berlin and others. Reb Zera was a Kohen, but after Kam Rab Reb Zera wasn't a Kohen anymore. Because he was a new Reb Zera. He wasn't the Kohen who was born from his father, and that would be the Dam Me'ayin Bas. It happens to be, he knows, that's what Levi Yitzchak, V'aditchi Ve'in Kedushas Levi, Parshas Ekev, says, V'ato Yisrael Mo Hashem Alekecha Shoyel Me'imach Kiyim Li'yira. So Levi Yitzchak, V'ato Yisrael Mo Hashem, V'ato Yisrael Mo Hashem Alekecha Shoyel Me'imach. V'ato Yisrael Mo is Me'loshen Anivos. Mo, what am I? V'ato Yisrael Mo Hashem Alekecha Shoyel Me'imach. Hashem asks you to be a Anav. That's what he's asking you to be. Except in one place. Ki im li yira. When it comes to the Asiyas Ratzon Hashem and Yiras Hashem, there is no Anivus. Anivus is for everything else. When it comes to Asiyas Mitzvahs and Limud HaTorah, you have to be stark. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have Gaiva de Kedusha. V'ata Yisrael Mo Hashem Alekecha Shoyel Me'imach. Ki im. Besides when it comes to Yira. When it comes to Yira, you got to believe in yourself. It's true, Dam Me'ayin Bas U'Midibur. That's true. When it comes to not falling in to do Averis. But Lo'on Ato Heilech, Lefnei Mi Ato Salit Midei B'Cheshben, Darf man kommen mit der gewaltige Starkheit. Who are we? We're the ones who are close with the Eibishter. We're the ones who are doing the Eibishter's work. That's what the Mishnah is telling us. The Mishnah is telling us, Da me'ayin basa. And he was Sucha. There were two schools of thought in Europe before the war. There was Yeshiva Slabodka, which was from the author of Slabodka. And there was Navardik. Slabodka was godless Ha'adam. Telling people how kind of potential they have and how great they are. And that's what they would teach. It was the school of thought of Navardik, which would say, Ich bin agonished. That's the way they would have Avodas Hashem. A Yid has to have both those pockets. He has to have the Slabodke and he has to have the Navardik. He has to be able to be in the more is Hashem She'el Be'imach. But the Kiyam Liyah, when it comes to Avodas Hashem, it has to be Vayikva Liboy B'dak Hashem. It has to be stark. You have to be proud. People sitting and learning and coming after they work to come learn Torah, Ba'asmada and V'iyun and Tishtaik. It's a special, special thing. You have to go home proud of yourself. It's a Keser Torah. Keser Torah. Yesh Shlosh Ksarim. One of them is Keser Torah, Keser Kahuna, and Keser Shem Tov. A Keser is when a person has pride, a person sees himself as doing something special. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks for us. We should be Zayim Mitzvah Hashem. We should sit and learn Torah, Mitech HaChav Sadas, Bris HaKadosh. Torah will be made in the Matzel. We should be Zayim Mitzvah Hashem, to Psuras Torah, Amen.